Nobody has ever ranked baggers honestly, because half the category belongs to Harley-Davidson, and the other half of the industry is terrified of saying so. Today, that changes. A heavy touring bagger has to handle real wind, manage brutal engine heat, hold a week of luggage, and keep an 800-pound frame upright at a gas station. Today we are exposing 7 overhyped baggers that completely failed on the road, and counting down 9 absolute legends that earned every dollar. Let's start with the worst of the worst. Starting at number 7, Honda CTX1300. In 2014, Honda had a genuinely excellent weapon on their hands. The V4 engine from the ST1300 was a proven highway missile, smooth, torquey, and reliable enough to be boring in the best possible way. Then someone in a glass-walled conference room decided it needed to look like a prop from Tron Legacy. The CTX1300 was born with a $15,900 sticker price, now sitting between $6,000 and $8,500 used, and weighed in at 732 pounds with a 29-inch seat. The saddlebags looked substantial from a distance. Up close, they offered enough interior volume to store a lunchbox and a sandwich bag. The Honda engineering team that built the ST1300 handed the CTX1300 project the same engine and then a completely different brief. The V4 engine Honda, borrowed from the ST1300, had been doing worldwide police and emergency response duty for over a decade. Honda pan-European fleets trusted that exact motor with life-and-death reliability work across Europe. The CTX1300 got that engine and wrapped it in a shell that could not survive a 4-hour highway run without giving you a tension headache. That brief prioritized style over function, and the result rewards the 10-second parking lot glance and punishes the 4-hour ride to get there. Just ahead is one of the most iconic motorcycles Harley ever built, and the specific piece of $3 plastic that turned it into a financial catastrophe for thousands of owners. Going into the ticking time bomb at number 6, Harley-Davidson Electra Glide Ultra Classic. From 1999 to 2006, the Electra Glide Ultra Classic was everything a bagger was supposed to be. Beautiful, commanding. The kind of machine that made gas station attendants put down their phones. It sold for $5,000 to $9,000 on the used market and weighed 848 pounds, and it housed a ticking time bomb inside the engine cases that nobody at the dealership mentioned. The spring-loaded cam chain tensioner in the twin Cam 88 engine used plastic pads that did not wear. They disintegrated. They sent plastic shrapnel through the oil pump and into the engine internals. By the time you heard anything wrong, the engine was already eating itself. A dealer in Tennessee described a customer who bought a 1999 Ultra Classic for his retirement trip. At the first service, 5,000 miles in, the tensioner had already destroyed the cam lobes. Complete engine rebuild. Retirement fund took a significant hit. Make sure you subscribe now. We have got a breakdown of budget touring bikes coming that will save you thousands on your next purchase. Coming up in the parking lot at number 5, Victory Vision. Victory unveiled the Vision in 2008, and the motorcycle world did a full stop. It looked like nothing else on 2 wheels, a swooping futuristic touring machine that seemed to have been designed by someone who had only ever seen aircraft carriers and concept cars. It ran from 2008 to 2017 and cost $6,500 to $11,000 used. Wet weight was 869 pounds at maximum load with a 26.5-inch seat height. The Vision was genuinely magnificent at the one thing baggers spend the least time doing, cruising at 70 miles per hour on a clear interstate. Everything else was a different sport. They took a machine that looked like a cargo ship and somehow gave it laughably small interior storage. The bags were integrated into those swooping body panels, which sounds clever until you realize that integration meant sacrifice. The bags offered roughly the same space as a large gym bag split between 2 sides. The Vision earned the nickname The Barge across online forums within months of launch. Polaris shut Victory down entirely in 2017 after years of declining sales. The Vision was among the lowest retained value models in the touring category. By the time the brand closed, resale dropped faster than almost any comparable machine in the category's history. What comes next had the opposite problem. All the suspension travel of a machine 1/3 its size, wrapped in a package that looked ready to rumble. Running in at number 4, Kawasaki Vulcan 1700 Vaquero. Kawasaki launched the Vulcan 1700 Vaquero in 2011 and kept it in production until 2023, which tells you either that Kawasaki was extremely confident in the machine or that nobody in product planning had ever ridden it. Fully loaded 2-up over a highway expansion joint. Used examples run $7,000 to $13,500. Wet weight is 844 pounds. Seat height is 28 3/4 inches. The 1700 cc twin makes perfectly decent power. That is not the problem. The problem is what that engine sits in. The rear suspension. Travel is shockingly short for a machine at this weight in this category. Add a passenger and a full load of luggage, which is the entire point of buying a bagger, and you are one bridge expansion joint away from a spinal event. The short travel shocks bottom out violently. The rebound sends it back up. Your spine receives both. The Vaquero shared its platform with the Vulcan 1700 Nomad, which had already been receiving soft suspension criticism for years before Kawasaki bolted a touring kit onto the same chassis. The $1,200 saving over a comparable street glide is real. The suspension upgrade that immediately follows is also real, running $500 to $800 for quality aftermarket units. Up ahead is a machine that lost a different kind of fight, not against physics, but against the calendar. And it is still somehow playing cassette tapes. The Time Machine at number 3, Yamaha Royal Star Venture. The Yamaha Royal Star Venture had a genuinely magnificent engine. The V4 derived from the legendary VMAX pulled with authority, ran smooth, and in the right machine would have been a weapon. Yamaha produced it from 1999 to 2013 at prices between $3,500 and $7,000 used, with a wet weight of 869 pounds and a nearly 30-inch seat. The engine deserved better than what surrounded it. While every competitor was moving to USB and Bluetooth, the Venture was playing mixtapes. The suspension, the electronics, the ergonomics, all of it dated to a design philosophy from the 1990s that Yamaha simply refused to evolve. Owner survey data from the Royal Star Owners Association consistently listed handling and outdated technology as the two primary reasons for selling. The Venture's production run ended in 2013, not because the engine failed, but because the machine around it refused to grow up. The Venture Royale touring platform actually came first, and it was that engine family Yamaha later re-engineered into the legendary VMAX in 1985. The VMAX became so powerful, Yamaha quietly installed an electronic speed limiter to avoid regulatory scrutiny. The Royal Star Venture engine descended from that same original touring lineage, which made it genuinely legendary. Yamaha had that DNA in the Venture and then refused to update anything around it for over a decade. Coming up is the Italian machine that was too ambitious about the future in exactly the wrong way, and paid the price every time someone tried to park it. The car nobody asked for at number 2, Moto Guzzi MGX21 Flying Fortress. In 2017, Moto Guzzi released a motorcycle that looked like what a comic book supervillain would ride to a board meeting. The MGX21 Flying Fortress used genuine carbon fiber bodywork, a 21-inch front wheel wrapped in real carbon fiber covers, and bodywork so dramatic that bystanders at gas stations would physically walk around it. It cost $11,000 to $15,000 used and weighed 752 pounds, one of the lighter machines on this list. For 2 miles on a clear road, it was extraordinary. The 21-inch front wheel is the specific failure. Moto Guzzi tried to fuse custom show bike aesthetics with touring geometry, and the front wheel is where the two philosophies went to war with each other. The gyroscopic effect of a 21-inch wheel at low speed creates steering behavior that requires constant correction. You do not steer the Flying Fortress at parking lot speeds. You negotiate with it. Experienced riders described it as genuinely difficult. New owners described it as genuinely terrifying. Moto Guzzi has been building motorcycles since 1921, the oldest motorcycle manufacturer in continuous European production. They survived 2 world wars and near bankruptcy. With all of that history behind them, they built a machine you could not maneuver at walking pace. The saddlebag latches jammed consistently. Rain protection through the panel gaps was essentially non-existent. Coming up is the machine built to win, born from a company that had nearly destroyed its own brand and came back with something to prove. The almost perfect disaster at number 1, Indian Chieftain first generation. When Polaris brought Indian back from the dead in 2013, the motorcycle world celebrated. The first generation Chieftain launched in 2014 at $9,000 to $13,000 and weighed 848 pounds with a low 26-inch seat height. The Thunderstroke 111 engine is gorgeous. The styling is impeccable. The brand heritage is undeniable. They launched it into one of the most hyped returns in motorcycle history and shipped a machine with a rear cylinder that literally cooked your right leg in summer traffic. The exhaust routing on the first generation Chieftain, combined with the complete absence of rear cylinder heat management in stop-and-go conditions, is not an inconvenience. It is a physical hazard. The thermal output from that rear cylinder in Phoenix traffic in July, in lanes that are not moving, was documented across ownership forums within weeks of launch. Riders installed aftermarket heat shields because the factory solution was inadequate, and the heat shield upgrade the factory should have performed costs $150 to $250 on top of what the buyer already paid. If this list is saving you from a terrible purchase, hit that like button. It helps more riders find this before they make the same mistake. Let's get into the best baggers. Kicking off the greatest at number 9, Harley-Davidson Road Glide Special. From 2019 to 2023, the Road Glide Special represented Harley-Davidson, earning its reputation back after the twin Cam 88 disaster. It runs $18,000 to $26,000 used and weighs 853 pounds with a 27.4-inch seat height. The Milwaukee 8 114 engine is a different animal entirely from what came before, better in almost every measurable way, and genuinely excellent in the ones that matter most for touring. The frame-mounted shark nose fairing is not a styling decision. It is an engineering decision with massive practical consequences. Unlike the Batwing fairing on the Electra Glide lineup, which is handlebar mounted and transmits every crosswind directly into your steering, the shark nose is attached to the frame. The handlebars move independently. In a vicious crosswind, you feel the bike work against it, while your hands do almost nothing. That is the difference between relaxed and exhausted on a 1,000-mile day. The Road Glide Shark Nose fairing has been in production since 1998. Harley introduced the frame-mounted design 25 years before the rest of the American market caught up with what it actually does in a crosswind. The Milwaukee 8 114 produces 111 foot-pounds of torque. 2 up and fully loaded on a grade, it does not downshift. It just pulls. The Shark Nose also creates a dramatically different sound environment at highway speed. Riders who switch from Batwing-equipped machines consistently describe the Road Glide as noticeably quieter at speed because the fairing manages airflow around the rider rather than dumping it over the top. And the bike coming in hot did something Honda engineers thought was impossible on a bagger, and then made it weigh less than the American competition while doing it better. The Precision Missile at number 8, Honda Goldwing Bagger GL1800B. The double wishbone front suspension completely separates steering dynamics from suspension travel. When you hit a bump a mid-corner, the suspension absorbs the hit without affecting the steering geometry. Other motorcycles dive under braking and change their handling characteristics. The Goldwing does not dive. It stays level. You can trail brake into a corner on an 800-pound touring motorcycle, and the front end behaves predictably. That is not a touring feature. That is a sport bike feature transplanted into a machine that weighs as much as a small car. The original Goldwing launched in 1975 as a naked machine, no fairing, no bags, just a flat-six engine and a frame. Honda spent 43 years adding things before the 2018 redesign stripped it back down and rebuilt correctly. The double wishbone suspension was the most significant engineering leap in over 20 years. Gold-wing bagger owners report riding through sustained rain at highway speed and arriving dry, not damp, dry. What comes next decided that perfect was not exciting enough. BMW decided to make it sound like a racetrack. The inline-six weapon at number 7, BMW K1600B. BMW took their K1600 GT touring flagship and lowered the rear end to create a bagger. The result, available from 2018 to 2024 at $16,000 to $23,000 used, is a motorcycle that genuinely blurs the line between a sport bike and a heavy cruiser. It weighs 758 pounds, making it the lightest machine on this best list by nearly 100 pounds over some rivals. And it is producing 160 horsepower from an inline-six that sounds exactly like what it is, a racing car engine in a touring motorcycle. 160 horsepower from a six-cylinder engine in a machine that weighs 758 pounds is a combination that should feel terrifying. It does not. The inline-six produces its power in a band so wide and so linear that you never catch the engine working hard. You can stay in sixth gear at 40 miles per hour and reaching highway speed with a slight twist of the throttle. No vibration, no protest, just authority available at every RPM. The dynamic electronic suspension adjusts damping in milliseconds based on road surface input. The K1600 engine family descends from BMW's Superbike program, the same engineering DNA that powered factory race machinery. BMW took race-derived inline-six architecture, softened nothing about the power delivery, and installed it in a machine with hard bags and a touring windshield. The result sounds deranged on paper and magnificent in person. The inline-six at highway RPM sounds like a slightly muffled sports car at full song. The machine just ahead, shot at the road, glides crowned with American metal and drew blood. The BMW proved that precision wins on paper. What comes next proved that precision wins on the road with an extra 100 horsepower. The American Reckoning at number 6, Indian Challenger. When Indian released the Challenger in 2020, they aimed directly at the Road Glide Special and did not miss. It runs $19,000 to $27,000 used and weighs 831 pounds with a 26.5-inch seat. The Power Plus liquid-cooled V-twin produces 122 horsepower out of the box. That is not bagger horsepower. That is sports touring horsepower in a machine with factory hard bags. When Indian released the Power Plus engine specs before the Challenger launched, Harley-Davidson stock dropped 2% the same day. The financial press noticed. 122 horsepower from a V-twin in a bagger was not what Milwaukee expected from Polaris. The Power Plus is a clean sheet design built around thermal efficiency and performance targets that air-cooled competition simply cannot match. It pulls from 40 to 100 miles per hour in a linear, effortless surge. Drop your bagger in the comments right now. Let's see which machines are actually out there getting ridden and which ones are sitting in garages looking good. We read every single response. Up next is the machine everybody forgot about, a British bagger that spent 4 years building the most honest value proposition in the category before Triumph quietly killed it. The Forgotten Champion. At number 5, Triumph Thunderbird LT. Triumph produced the Thunderbird LT from 2014 to 2017, 4 years, and then quietly discontinued it. Most buyers today walk right past it because they are not looking for a British bagger. That is a mistake. Used examples run $6,500 to $9,500. The machine weighs 837 pounds, and the seat sits at 27.5 inches. The value per dollar is extraordinary. The 1,700cc parallel twin is the detail that catches every first-time Thunderbird LT rider off guard. The expectation coming from American machines is a loping low RPM V-twin thump. What you get is a smooth linear pull that builds progressively from idle to redline without the harmonic roughness that defines the American V-twin experience. Triumph tuned the firing interval to maximize torque feel while minimizing vibration. The leather saddlebags came with waterproof liners as standard, not as an option standard. Triumph has been building motorcycles since 1900. The Thunderbird nameplate dates to 1950. The same year Marlon Brando's character in The Wild One rode a Triumph Thunderbird in one of the most famous motorcycle scenes in cinema. That name carries real weight. Triumph produced the LT for 4 years and quietly walked away from a machine owners consistently rated among the best value for money tourers they had ever owned. Just around the corner is the Italian machine that proves when Moto Guzzi gets it right, they get it gloriously right, and at 753 pounds, it physically shames the American competition. The soulful Italian at number 4, Moto Guzzi California 1400 Touring. The same brand that put the Flying Fortress disaster on this list also put the California 1400 Touring on the best list, which tells you everything about the range of outcomes when Italian engineering is given a clear brief versus a wild one. The California 1400 Touring ran from 2014 to 2020 at $8,000 to $13,000. It weighs 753 pounds and seats at 29 inches. It is one of the lighter machines on this entire list. The elastic engine mounting system combined with a transverse V-twin character is an engineering trick that very few manufacturers have managed at this level. At idle, the engine shakes, not unpleasantly, characterfully. The machine has a pulse that makes you aware it is alive. The moment you accelerate, the rubber engine mounts absorb the vibration completely. Power on, the bike is smooth. Power off at idle, it has soul. The rubber mounts isolate the impulses from the chassis at idle only. Under power, they stiffen and the engine becomes a structural component of the chassis. Moto Guzzi first developed transverse V-twin elastic mounting on their 1970s police and military bikes, machines that needed to stay reliable through decades of hard service. The California 1400 is the direct heir to that tradition. At 753 pounds, it turns more confidently than many lighter machines because the weight that remains is distributed exactly where it needs to be. We have a video coming that covers the best budget touring bikes under $8,000 that will make you question everything you thought you needed to spend. Do not miss it. What comes next is the machine that police departments across America trusted with their lives, and you can buy it used for the price of a decent used sedan. The timeless standard at number 3, Harley-Davidson Road King 103. Police departments in America have been riding the Road King since the 1990s. California Highway Patrol, NYPD, the Secret Service Presidential Motorcade Support Units, all Road Kings. That is not a marketing claim. That is a procurement decision made by people who care about exactly one thing: which machine breaks the least often and costs the least to keep running. The Road King 103 ran from 2012 to 2016 at $8,500 to $14,000 used, weighs 814 pounds, and seats at 28.2 inches. There is a version of touring that does not require infotainment systems and Bluetooth connectivity and dynamic electronic suspension adjustment. It requires a motorcycle that starts every time, handles its weight, holds a line in crosswinds, and does not create any surprises. The quick-release windshield comes off in 30 seconds. The hard saddlebags open with simple mechanical locks that work the same way every time, in rain, cold, and heat. The Twin Sam 103 substantially improved the cam tensioner situation from the 88 generation. With proper maintenance, these engines routinely reach 150,000 miles. Up next, wins on value in a way the premium bagger world would rather you not notice. It costs half what a Challenger does. It covers the same miles. It has fewer things to break. The premium brands have decided this information is not worth sharing. The stealthy mile eater at number 2, Suzuki Boulevard C90T BOSS. The Boss trim on the Suzuki Boulevard C90T ran from 2013 to 2019, and it remains the best-kept secret in the bagger world. Everything the premium bagger market charges $14,000 for, available for $5,500 to $8,500, with a shaft drive, 800 pounds wet weight, and a 28.3-inch seat. The market ignored it because it did not have an American flag badge or a German engineering story. The riders who found it never went back. The long-stroke 1462 CCV twin pulls like a freight train from low RPM with a torque characteristic that makes it feel larger than its displacement suggests. The zero-maintenance shaft drive eliminates chain adjustment, chain wear, belt tension measurement, and the ongoing overhead that adds up over miles. The factory hard bags were completely waterproof from day one. The large windshield created a genuine quiet air pocket for long hauls. This machine lacked prestige and delivered unmatched functionality per dollar. The C90T BOSS shares its engine architecture with the Boulevard M90, one of the most iconic power cruisers ever built, famous for enormous cylinders and genuine straight-line performance. Suzuki tuned that DNA for long-stroke torque, added shaft drive and hard bags, and produced a touring machine the press barely reviewed because nobody expected Suzuki in the premium touring conversation. Shaft fluid change every 30,000 miles, $25. Chain or belt replacement across the same miles, hundreds of dollars. The C90T BOSS is the honest answer to the question most bagger buyers are actually asking. And now, the machine at number 1 that has been settling a 20-year argument about what an American bagger can be. Here it is. And saving the absolute best for number 1, Indian Springfield. Indian launched the Springfield in 2016 as the direct answer to every rider who wanted a Chieftain but could not live with the heat, the geometry, or the low-speed weight distribution. It runs $13,000 to $21,000 used and weighs 862 pounds with a low 26-inch seat height. The Springfield is what happens when you take everything wrong with the first-generation Chieftain, the heat, the geometry, the weight distribution, and fix all of it without losing what made the machine beautiful. Indian modified the rake and trail on the Springfield compared to the Chieftain, and the handling transformation is dramatic. A heavyweight cruiser that handles like a sport touring bike in the canyons. U-turns that feel effortless at normal human strength levels. A machine that inspires confidence at low speed rather than anxiety. The quick-release windshield pops off in seconds without tools. Later models include rear cylinder deactivation that solves the heat problem from the first-generation Chieftain completely. The caster angle adjustment makes it feel 50 pounds lighter than the specification. When the Springfield launched, Indian sold out of the first allocation in 3 weeks. Dealers reported wait lists forming before bikes arrived on the floor, something that had never happened with a Chieftain variant before. Cycle World's comprehensive evaluation rated the Springfield the all-around best bagger in the American market across handling, comfort, practicality, and long-distance performance simultaneously. This is the distinction between a machine designed by engineers and a machine designed by engineers who actually toured on the prototype, who rode it loaded, in traffic, in crosswinds, and came back to the drawing board with real-world data instead of test track data. That is what the Springfield is. That is what number 1 earns. Click on the next video to continue the ride. Never buy the wrong bike again? Get your guide right now and subscribe to our channel.